Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Week 4 of the Stark County High School Football Preview Show. And again, we are happy and blessed and excited to be back here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If you ever get a chance, holidays are coming up. The museum store is open for you. Lots of gifts, lots of goodies. Come on by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We certainly appreciate the support of the Stark Media family. Sammy B, JT, TJ. I get that right? I think I did. We are getting ready for Week 4. It is the regional championships are coming up. But first, we must review before we preview, and we're going to get into that right now here on the Stark Media YouTube channel. Guys, we had to say goodbye to the Canton South Wildcats here over the weekend. But what a year by Coach Dennison and the folks down in Canton South. Poochie Snyder, an incredible season, and he'll be back again next year, so that's kind of cool. But, Jeff, we'll start with you. The Wildcats they got behind, but that's okay because that's not a problem for them usually. But when you get 3-4 scores behind, sometimes that's a tough climb, and you got to use a lot of energy to get back. And I think by the time the middle of the fourth was rolling around, I think the Cats were a little bit tired. But what a year by Canton South.
Yeah, they looked real good. I mean, being in that Pac-7 real competitive league, they were used to getting, beat up all year back and forth, a lot of close games. A lot of games they won down the stretch. When you got a kid like Poochie Snyder behind center, it's always fun to watch, and you're always in everything. But, we've talked about this quite a bit throughout the year. Once you get behind and you start working extra hard to get back to just even, it makes it difficult. That's, I think, what happened.
Yeah, they just got behind early. If I recall, I believe Jefferson only dressed like 27 kids.
Yep.
They had 3 or 4 other guys on the sidelines, but they were not in uniform and ready to go. But the 27 they had out there, man, they could play some football. A lot of people from around here, Jefferson area, what, who, what, why, where, how. Well, I guess we found out it's a pretty good football team, a hard-nosed football team, and they are not afraid to run the football, are they?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, their quarterback got it done for him, Grant Hitchcock. I mean, you think about everything.
Stud.
We see a lot of running backs here around here, or quarterbacks who can actually run the ball around here. We call them dynamic, so to say. Mm-hmm. Hitchcock was that. I mean, he didn't really have to throw the ball much. They knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to come into the game, establish, ground and pound, run it down your throat. And even as you mentioned, Sam, I think going into this week against West Branch, they lost a couple dudes last week. So I think they're down to maybe like 22, so I've heard as of recently, to start this week out of their prep. So you're down a little bit, but you can at least hang your hat on the fact that, you know what, you just beat a really good Canton South team. We were really impressed with them, what they did all year long. Zion Culver, the freshman running back, he's going to come back alongside Poochie. We know what Jack can do, man. When that kid's back there, he can spin it. He can throw the deep ball. He's got legs. He stretched a couple out into the end zone in this ball game. But a tip of the cap to them and Coach Dennison, man, because when you do historic stuff at your school, stuff that you haven't done for a long, stuff like what A.J. Sarball and the Fairless Falcons were able to do this year, that's a good vibe. It's a good feel. Even though it sucks that you lost, it's sad, for those kids. They want to still keep playing now. Understand that you did something that hadn't been done before, and, that'll be talked about for a long time.
Yeah, and you think about the longest run in the history of Canton South football. And when you do something you've never done before, at some point when the hurt wears off, the sting goes away. You're like, man, that was pretty cool.
That was a good
and
time.
then that propels you to next year. Now, a lot of people say, well, okay, the season ended in November. By the time you get out there as a whole team again, seriously the whole team, you're looking at 2-a-days. So how much of a carryover is there with graduation and, players come and go and things happen and life gets in the way? But if you can capture what you had, that magic, and you got your stud back at quarterback, and you need to improve on the defensive side of the football, you can make those adjustments and you can say, hey, we made it to week 3.
Yep. Let's
see if we can go one step further. Let's see if we can go 2 steps further. And that fuels the 6 a.m. weightlifting, the getting up in the middle of January when it's 10 below zero.
Right now.
That fuels you to want to – the taste was there. You got a little piece of it. Now you want to take it and you want to go with it. And I know Coach Dennison will get those guys in that frame of mind. There's no doubt in my mind. So a shout out to Canton South. What a great season. Guys, keep working, keep fighting, listen to your coaches, and you'll be there again next year. There's no doubt in our minds you're going to be back in 2023.
Let me tell you what helps that whole thing right there when you're talking about bringing back Pucci, bringing back a freshman running back. You got a 6'2", 210-pound tight end in Luke Johnson who's coming back. You got Joe Sams, who's a 6'4", 310-pounder coming back. You've got 77, 6'4", 275-pound junior Max Cochran coming back. You've got a 285-pound sophomore in Brock Prestier coming back. Those are pretty big numbers for Canton South, right?
Impressive for sure. And I'm just across the board. A lot of these schools, even the smaller schools, I'm blown away about the size of some of these schools that have 600, 700 kids in their school, and they've got 280, 300 pounders on the line.
Back in your day, back in my day, I mean, you'd be lucky to find a 250-pound dude there.
Right.
That's it.
Right now they're what's the BFS? Bigger, faster, stronger. Guys are eating. All right, they're lifting. They're getting in the weight room. They're conditioning. It's 365 now. Like it or like it or not.
Food down there at the Amish store.
I'm telling you what, that's just how it is. But we congratulate Canton South and the community on a great run. Boy, it was fun to cover your games, whether it was on the stream, the radio, Stark Media YouTube channel. We had a blast following you and keep working hard here in the off season. So, recapping the West Branch game against Buchtel. Again, Buchtel comes out, knocks him in the mouth. But West Branch stood there with the firm chin, okay, and didn't back down, and they fought back. And once they got on top, they never looked back. And like Poochie Snyder, who stirs the drink for Canton South, man, oh man, Drew DeShields for the West Branch Warriors, guys. He has got to be a candidate for one of the best players in the state of Ohio. Has to be.
No doubt about it. And I got to see this thing firsthand, and I was thoroughly impressed. That was my first chance of getting eyes on this West Branch Warrior football team, and Coach Tim Cooper has done a great job. I mean, he's still got Ken Harris on his staff. That helps. I mean, Ken Harris has spent a lot of time there at West Branch, and it's been an easy transition, and you don't have to worry about anybody not buying into the program. But, man, I'll tell you the one thing we kind of joked about here over the last couple of weeks, with not jokingly in regards to Drew's knee, but what happens if you got to put in number 16, Bo Alazos? Let me tell you, this guy was standing out there playing linebacker, started at linebacker. And the first thing I think of, just because of the number 16, obviously, but the same kind of form and shape, was Jack Talkington.
Yep.
He is a huge linebacker out there, and he's Drew's backup if he has to come into the game. I don't think you're worried at all, but you didn't have to worry because Drew was slinging it to Christian Mardig. Big touchdowns to him. Had a huge 57-yarder to Joey Jackson. The offensive line, man, they're together. They play well. They were physical. Zach Lesh and Mitch Coffey, Leighton Uphold, these dudes, they love their quarterback, And we talked about the small school feel. It's like it's different. It's that varsity blues-ish type feel that, you love your quarterback and, where's Billy Bob with the pig over here or something, It's just these are a good group of dudes that love playing for each other. And, again, I was there. I saw it firsthand. Salute to the Griffs, man, because they fought their butts off, and neither team deserved to lose that game. And you saw we had a little video put up on YouTube that it was just great sportsmanship because every one of those kids in green and white went over to the Griffs over there that were hanging their heads, and they were crying, and they said, you know what, man, respect. I got respect for you. You're a hell of a player. And that was cool to see, man, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and that game went down to the wire almost. Yeah. I mean, it got a little dicey there for West Branch. But, Jeff, the Warriors at this point in the season, I mean, they've played some people now.
Yeah.
And they've played different styles of people now. And we want to continue to wrap on this West Branch Buchtel game, but I can't help but look ahead with what the big fella just said here about Jefferson maybe losing some more guys.
Yeah.
I mean, this has got to be – West Branch has got to be chomping at the bit to play this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at West Branch, they're averaging over 46 points a night. They're going against a Jefferson team, like TJ said, they're a little bit banged up. They're averaging 28 points a night. So if you just look at it straight on paper out of the gate, you got to figure, West Branch has an edge there. And whenever you've got Drew DeShields over there throwing 38 tutties and one pick during the regular season, I mean, that's off the chart efficiency, right? But, it's just not one receiver he's going to. Drew DeShields has 4 wide receivers, all in the top 24 in the county in receiving.
Chuck it around.
So whenever you're just slicing and dicing, that's tough to defend, especially when you're a little bit beat up with Jefferson.
Well, and what Jeff just mentioned there about the interception, he had an interception in his ball game against Booktel. And let's give the Griffs the credit they deserve. They showed West Branch an athleticism that they probably haven't seen outside of the Alliance Aviators. And the Alliance Aviators, Sam, you called that game. They gave West Branch everything they needed right there.
Down to the wire.
And for Drew and the offense, I think to see that, and then the defense to have to cover down on Zaire Lewis, who had a huge touchdown to keep him in the game. Stevie Diamond, super impressed with him at quarterback. But to see that type of team speed now, get past it in the semis, to me, on paper, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, prediction-wise, I think they beat Jefferson area. But then you're going to see somebody that has Booktel speed times 10, potentially in Glenville, if they get past Van Wert. Watch out.
Track team.
And look what Van Wert did last weekend. So, I mean, I think we've separated now contenders, pretenders, haven't we? I mean,
absolutely.
It's usually the way this goes. Once you start knocking on the door for a regional championship, everything else is out the window.
The cream's rising.
Yeah, and that's and honestly, that's the way it should be. At this point, you should be seeing, ones in regionals. You should be seeing 1 versus 2s, or 1 versus 3s, or 2 versus 3s. And eventually the cream rises to the top, and West Branch has certainly done that. And guys, as we kind of go into the preview of West Branch and Jefferson loves to pound the ball at you. I think West Branch will be okay there. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the Shields, the accuracy, the completion percentage, the 38-1 ratio, touchdowns to interceptions. He's not going to forget how to do that stuff coming up. I don't care how high the stakes are. I think West Branch is a prohibitive favorite here. But it is the regional championship. Can't look past anybody, even though if they're shorthanded. Jefferson area is playing for the same thing you are, so they're not going to come in and roll over just because. They're not. It's not going to happen.
Well, Jefferson area is a solid team. I don't know that they have the speed that Booktel has on both sides of the ball. West Branch saw that last week. West Branch was down 11 early. They didn't panic. You got a quarterback back there that's a stud. We've talked about him quite a bit. Mm-hmm. The one thing I'd point out with Jefferson, they've got 3 losses. In those 3 losses, they've only averaged 9 points. So they're susceptible to not scoring points at times. You've got to put up 35, 40-plus to keep up with this West Branch team. And I think at the end of the night, I've got West Branch in this one.
Yeah, and West Branch or Jefferson area's offense, and it's not an offense that if you get down 3 or 4 scores, good night.
Yeah,
that's a running team. You're not gonna come back from that. You're just not.
And then at that point, I think you just lean on the big boys up front. Guys like Lucas Greshaw, who's 6'9", 260 pounds, who might be a frame or a body that Jefferson area hasn't had to go against. I mean, they saw some decent size from Matt Gazar and Grant Treacher from last week with Canton South, but you saw that they handled it. So I think you're going to see more Boston Mullenix in this game. I think West Branch is going to get that early lead, but to what you guys said, I mean, even I had a chance calling that Massillon game last week. Your quarterback can come out, throw an early interception, throw things off. You could give up a huge special teams play early in the game, throw things off. So you never know what might go Jefferson area's way. But if you're West Branch, just control the things that you can control. And going against a team that might be a little bit banged up at this point, you know what the key is defensively. Don't let that quarterback pop off. Bottle him up, and everybody else just do your job. Get a 3-4 score lead with Drew DeShield's arm, and then boom, Boston Mullenix time. Lean on the big boys up front and just road grade them all the way into the state semis.
And that's it. And that's all she wrote. That's kind of what we're looking at maybe this weekend as far as West Branch and Jefferson area is concerned. All right, hey, we do want to thank our sponsors, Wallenberg Chocolates and Nuts, Lindsay's Pizza, shout out John, St. Joe's Senior Living, McNeil & Sons Tree Service, and, of course, our good friends at C.H. Vallis and Associates, proud partners, proud members of our Stark Media team. All right, we're going to move divisions now, and we're going to go to Division 2. Region 7, the Massillon Tigers took on Sunbury Big Walnut last weekend, and the big fellow was over there for that one. And, of course, we're doing the Lake Westerville game on Rock 106.9. TJ's got the game on 99.7, and I'm looking at my phone going, Sunbury Big Walnut up early on the Tigers. And then I look at my phone again, that's better.
Yeah.
So they got punched early. Maybe they staggered a little bit, but they came back and they put them away. And look, that's Massillon Tiger football. Either they jump out on you early, or they give up one and they come back on you and they put you away.
And it's the exact analysis that I gave you on the last segment just to finish it out. The quarterback came out, throws an interception. Don't see that from Jalen Slaughter much. That led to 3 points. But before that, the opening kickoff was returned 92 yards by Nate Sievers for a touchdown. So you're thinking, oh, wow, they're down 9-0. Massillon hasn't been down 9-0 since you see him go down to Moeller in week one.
Week one.
So, I think to a point, for the Tigers, for the Warriors of West Branch to have to go down early in a game in a regional semifinal, that's a good thing. I think that your guys know how to react and know how to respond to it. But man, this defense from the Massillon Tigers, you and I have talked about a little bit yesterday, but they're just bottling guys up. And what they did to Nate Sievers, who's coming off of 1,700 plus yards through his first 12 games. And they hold him up to 85 yards and a score. So the defensive line is doing their job. The guys that maybe are over here, not in the limelight, like the Dorian Pringles and the Marcus Moores and such, a guy like Cody Fair. Mm-hmm. When you see him play linebacker, how tough this kid is, and the attitude that he brings to the table, and then mixed outside of him with Brandon Carmen and Maverick Clark, who are guys that, Sam, when you called that Moeller game in week one and the Tigers would lose, those guys were not ready yet, but they're ready now.
They're ready now. They weren't ready for that.
They've been battle tested now, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, week one, that's a tough ask against a team like Moeller, who that may have been Moeller's best game of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that they're not going for the D1 championship. I'm not saying that at all. But they came out against Massillon, and it was boom, boom, boom. But as we mentioned a couple days ago, just for fun, if Massillon and Moeller would get together, say, like right now,
might be different.
It might be a little different story. But, the Tigers with a nice win on the road, another trip over to Old Arlen Field in Mansfield. They come back on Route 30, and they pick up the win. And Jeff, about this time, the last several years, what's the quote? Well, if the Tigers don't win it this year, they never will. And we've heard this for decades now. Here we are again. Things are getting serious. Regional championship online. You know the other suspects that are out there. Avon, Toledo CC, Archbishop Hoban. We know who's out there.
Yep.
Is this the year?
Well,
with a sophomore quarterback.
Yep.
Is this the year that one Paul Brown Drive gets to throw that celebration?
I'm on a hot mic doing a game against Fairless Tuslaw with Coach Drew, and my comment was the Tigers will go back-to-back. Now, I think they're winning all this year. Next year, with a change of divisions, they might go up to Division I. I don't know how that'll shake out. I'm going to stay steadfast, and I think they're going to get it done this year. They're a great team. We talk about a lot of the key players on the team. Obviously, you're going to talk about the running back. We talk about Dorian Pringle quite a bit. But like TJ said, there's other guys on that defense that are studs. Michael Wright has almost 10 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. You got Brandon Carmen, 9 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, and Cody Fair. There are other guys other than Pringle, and Pringle's a stud. But there's other guys on that defense that can get it done, not to mention that running game. Impressive. So I think the Tigers get it done.
Mike Wright's a 265-pound sophomore that can – I think he's already benching over 400 pounds. So, I mean, that right there –
man.
Yeah, a grown man strength. And then you got Marcus Moore, who's committed to Akron right next to him. And it's no wonder why J.P. Simon has said that he thinks this is the best defense that they've had over those last 7 years that you just mentioned, Sam. And to say that, knowing there's been defenses with Andrew Wilson-Lamp and Martavian Johnson and, even going back to guys like Cordell Ford and Danny Robinson, I mean, some absolute studs. That's saying a lot about this defense. And I'll continue to say, too, that with Chase Bond coming back on the defensive line, that's helped a lot. Some young guys have kind of stepped up, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch guys that are getting their real first taste of varsity action, and they're stretching it out into a potential regional championship. So good for them. And hey, I'm pulling for not only the Tigers but the Lake Blue Streaks. I want to see a great competitive game. Whoever wins it should deserve to win it, and that's who we're riding all the way. Get it done.
That's the way it's going to go. So remember, guys. Back when the Cleveland Browns drafted a young man out of Duke, by the name of Mike Junkin. Remember him? What did Marty Schottenheimer called him? A mad dog in a meat market. Well, the guy turned out to be a total stiff, okay? Michael Wright Jr. is a mad dog in a meat market for the Massillon Tiger defense. I want that guy in my foxhole every day of the week. I think he's going to have a great game coming up this weekend, so keep your eyes on number 45 for the Tigers. Now, who are the Tigers going to play? Well, this is Lake, this is Massillon, the game we've all been kind of pointing to for several weeks, since about week 5 or week 6 of the regular season. Here we are in the middle of November. Now, Lake is 12-1. Their only loss was to Canton McKinley. Massillon played McKinley. Lake played McKinley. Is there anything we can draw from that, guys, about those two matchups? I'm sure the coaches have been looking at tape, looking at scheme, looking at philosophy, looking at talent, looking at gaps, looking at different things. What can we draw out of those two games as we line them up as we get ready for Friday?
I don't think you take much away from them. I think every game is different. They all have its own complexion of what happens, as we talked about. Could be early in the game, could be adversity that one has to handle in the third quarter. I just think that I guess if you're looking at a close game compared to a blowout game, which, McKinley did pretty much dominate Lake in that ball game, and McKinley Bulldogs were able to keep it close with the Massillon Tigers. That was only a 10-point game, although it didn't feel like it. I mean, I'm sure as you were commentating it, Sam, it felt like it was more than a 10-point game, especially down the stretch, but McKinley was always in it, and they never gave up. They always kind of kept that fight in it. I think you treat this as a separate entity, and especially because as most probably don't realize, and I didn't even realize to this point, that this is the first time these two schools have ever squared up against each other. So that's special in its own right, too.
Yeah, hard to believe. But I guess I was asking, if you're Nate Moore, do you look at the film of a Lake McKinley game? If you're Dan DeGeorge, do you look at the film of a Massillon McKinley game just to see if you can find something to maybe hang your hat on and practice during this week? Now, remember, you know who your opponent is usually that night.
Right.
So they've had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday by the time they get into Friday's game. But I just wonder if there's something there that they're going to pick out. I was able to preside over the Lake Westerville South game, and gosh darn, Matt Solberger gets an ankle injury the second snap of the game when Lake on offense, and you just feel terrible for Matthew. And again, we're hoping you get better, my man. We want to see you out there at some point. If that's doable. But then, on the fly, Dan DeGeorge says, I know what we're going to do. We're going to put William Butler in the backfield along with Jarvis, and we're going to run the ball. We're going to tease you with some passes. We're going to do some jet sweeps with Baker. We're going to throw deep to Dylan Snyder. We're going to do some simple things like snap the ball directly to Will and let him find a gap and run. And they imposed their will on Westerville South. Westerville had some key penalties. Lake took advantage, especially on field position, and turning away some possible first downs by Westerville South. But I just thought the Lake coaching was fantastic. I thought their kids rose to the occasion. They did it on a horrible night for football. We were all out of games Friday, and it was miserable with the rain and everything, and they were able to get the job done. Westerville South, guys, they've been there before. That's a good football team. That's a nice football program. That's a big win for Lake, in my opinion, on the road in a neutral site to win that game. But I think that win gives them confidence moving in toward this game against Massillon, because it wasn't a game where, Lake had to fight last weekend. They really did. They got a late score, but they had to fight, and they earned what they fought for.
Well, I had the pleasure of calling a couple of late games this year, and it seemed like they were in a lot of tight games. Mm-hmm. And I've seen the fight. Those are some country boys that got a lot of guts, and I know a little bit about that from where I'm from, and they just don't give up. Losing Solberger hurts, but then you can just throw Butler in there, who was an all-Ohio running back last year. Mm-hmm. It's just a natural thing for them to go to. I was calling that Walsh game during that, and you guys were texting us, and I'm telling Drew, I'm like, they got to just put Jarvis in there and throw Butler back and run the rock. Not to say that Jarvis can't throw it, because he can. He's got studs on the outside. Yep. He's got Snyder and Baker out there. Those are some good football players. So and they're big up front. I think they can match up front a little bit with the Tigers in the trenches, and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Now Lake they've had some injuries too. Miller's been hurt a couple times, and he's been able to come back and play. They've had some guys on the line, some backers that have been banged up and hurt, and they'll get in for a couple plays and have a setback, and they'll have to sit them down and bring them back in the following quarter. But when you're talking about guys like Brady at linebacker, and of course Will Butler plays defense as well, and you got guys in the secondary. Sedmock has had a great year after coming back from an injury. I think offensively, Lake can Dan DeGeorge is probably saying, if I had another 10 days where I could just take their playbook and add 15 or 30 plays to it with Butler and Jarvis in the backfield kind of playing off each other. I mean, you could go single wing.
Yeah.
You could do pitch out passes. You could do it's endless, the possibilities of what they could do. What are you expecting offensively out of Lake?
Well, first of all, I mean, he wasn't out in the cold last week. Him and Lee Foster were in the confines of the Zucchini Center, man, drinking cold ones up there, man, feeling good about themselves. They're just texting away, and no, it was good stuff and great stuff. You guys all up at Walsh. It's been fun to be able to work alongside the university there and work with the Walsh Cavaliers, helping them out inside what they're doing with the Great Midwest Athletic Conference, and it's fun to be around all their sports that they have going on. Check out campus if you haven't. It's thriving. But offensively, I think you're right. You're going to see an offensive line, hopefully now that they are at full tilt. You mentioned Ty Miller had been down early. Well, also Anthony Miller, the big 280-pounder, he was down as well. So he's back up to full speed. I think, guys like Gavin Zachary and even Riley Fumuano, these guys, they've probably got that same taste in their mouth of, what? Everybody thinks the Tigers are going to win. Nobody's giving us a chance. Let's go out here and let's punch these guys in the mouth. Yeah. We don't care who's running the ball behind us. I mean, we've seen all season long, Will Butler, when he runs the ball behind that line, it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have Solberger, so there's going to be some people that will key in, but you've got to have Cale Jarvis play the best game he's ever played.
Absolutely.
You cannot afford any mistakes. You cannot afford any stupid penalties. You cannot afford to have any turnovers. If you lose the turnover margin in this game, you will lose the game 100%. Don't even call it 87% of the time. If you lose the turnover margin, you will lose the game. Sam, you took one guy's name out of my mouth, Josh Sedmock. I think he's a guy that has a big game in this as well. And another guy, maybe two guys that are kind of flying under the radar that you might see really kind of shine here, Dane Jarvis, who plays very well.
Charlie Christopher, too. I forgot to mention him.
And then 84, Ethan Baluch out there. He's just an undersized defensive lineman. Maybe he can give some of those guys some fits on some inside moves. And, one thing we always knew whenever I was a part of a big offensive line, and typically I always was, Masslin's offensive line, we know what they're capable of doing. Understand that nobody's going to play you straight. The Lake Blue Streaks are not going to play you straight. They're going to angle, they're going to twist, they're going to stunt, they're going to blitz. If you're not ready for it, that can catch you off guard, and that can throw a lot of Jalen Slaughter's things off rhythm. Maybe they look at what Big Walnut did to get to him on that second series of the game where he threw an interception. So I think defensively, dial some stuff up like that. Offense, keep your offense on the field. Run the ball effectively. I don't think Cale Jarvis is going to throw a bunch of home run bombs or work those jets with Schneider and Baker. Those guys are fast, and you love what they're able to do. But keep Masslin's offense off the field. Don't let Will Trell and the big offensive line pound you and wear you down by the fourth quarter, and I think you should be all right.
It'll be interesting to see the early flow of this game. I think we get a key right off the rip, guys, of the coin toss. Who gets the ball first? Do they take it and go down the field? Do they play it close to the vest? Do they go for some home runs, depending on who has the ball? I think there's a lot riding on the first quarter because a game can get away from you early, especially in the playoffs. And then if you throw some turnovers into the mix, then things can get out of hand. But I think the first quarter is going to be huge for both of these football teams. Massillon Lake, Rock 106.9, the free iHeartRadio app, Friday night from Byersfield and Parma. Join us for the Tigers and Blue Streaks. Again, Rock 106.9, Friday night. It should be a dandy. And those of you that are going to the game, we can't wait to see you. Get your orange and black, your blue and red. Just if you're a high school football fan, wear whatever you want. Just dress warm. Be ready for the elements. It should be a great night up in Parma.
Sam, I think as much as you mentioned about home run balls and with bad weather potentially coming up, being cold, I think you're going to see that here. One guy to watch out for, Braylon Tolles, man. He's coming off a career night of 110 yards, 2 TDs. Catfish Kale's throwing the ball a lot more over there at Massillon.
Sophomore, right?
Yeah. Catfish Kale, man, he's airing it out. He's doing some home run balls on 1st and 10. I think Lake's got to match that. You and I talked about it yesterday. You got to throw the ball against this team.
I think
you have to.
I think they will.
Well, I think if you're Lake, you got to step up and make them throw defensively, You got to stop. You got to stop that running game.
Here comes the chess match.
Yeah, and now it begins.
Yeah.
And now it begins the slaughter to whoever for bubble screens and going deep with. Massillon's got incredible team speed.
Lake has that linebacker core that can step up and can
they
cause
can run
problems.
too. Lake can run too. So this is going to be fun again. It's coming up Friday night at 7:00 at Byers Field in Parma. All right, we are going to step away. When we come back, we're going to look at some other matchups. We've got the Kirtland-Mogadore to talk about. We'll get a little bit of the Ed's Mentor game. We'll give you some predictions on Hoban-Hudson. We'll talk a little Indian Valley and more coming up here on the Stark Media High School Football Preview Show from the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You came to Stark Media for the best? Well, now you got it. Check out Lindsay's Pizza on 2827 Whipple Avenue Northwest inside of the Hillsdale Shopping Center. The preferred post-game pizza of the Stark Media team is open until 11 p.m., and it has all the essentials for game day. Pizza, chicken, salads, and sandwiches are just a click away at lindsayspizza.com. But you should trust the former Ohio State All-American and just call them right now at 330-477-3800. 477-3800. This is TJ Downing for Lindsay's Pizza, and I approve this message.
McNeil & Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. Do you have trees that have stretched too close to your home? A rotted tree that has to go? Or perhaps even storm damage? No job is too big or small for McNeil & Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. McNeil & Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs. Or visit us online at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at McNeil & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. McNeil & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
Welcome back to the Stark Media High School Football Preview Show. Sam Bourquin, TJ Downing, Jeff Tyler here at the phenomenal Pro Football Hall of Fame. Again, if you haven't been here for a while, check out all the great additions. Obviously, there's a ton of work going on at the Village, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Get here when you can. We appreciate their sponsorship and support of what we do here at Stark Media. Shout out to the crew right here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. All right, guys, some predictions, just a little kind of blow-by-blow on some games we've got coming up that are close enough to the area where people, I think, have a little interest of what is going on in some of the matchups. And, of course, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Visit Canton, the Village, everybody's going to be in town in a couple of weeks for the OHSAA State Championship games at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. So probably a good idea to get acquainted with some of these teams who might be coming here in a couple of weeks to maybe host a trophy in Divisions 1 through 7. All right, Kirtland-Mogadore. Yikes. Kirtland, the behemoth of all behemoths in high school football here in the state of Ohio for the small school divisions. And don't worry, Marion Local, I haven't forgot about you either. But can Moggy hang in there with this, guys? It's a tall task. It really is.
It's ground and pound versus ground and pound. I mean, there's going to be a lot of running in this ball game. Mogadore has a massive running back who's tipping like 6'2", 220 pounds. He's a bear to take down. Tiger Laverty and what he wants to do offensively, it's different. It's challenging. It's won a lot of state championships. So for me personally, I like Kirtland in this ball game, but it's going to be very close. And I'm setting a score right now at 28-25. Kirtland gets a victory.
Holy smokes! Heart Attack City. All right,
Wow.
Jeff, what do you got?
Kirtland runs the rock. They've got 4 guys that they can run. They got 2 juniors, 2 seniors. They just keep fresh legs in there. They can run it down your throat. Mogadore can run also, but I think Mogadore has a much bigger time stopping the run. So I got Kirtland 28-6.
All right, I'm going to go with Kirtland here, wishing Coach Adorney and the Wildcats all the luck in the world. They're not that far away from us here up off of 224, but I can't go against Tiger Laverty. I got Kirtland here 42-15.
Ooh.
All right. Don't write this stuff down now. All right. Indian Valley is going to take on Big Red. Steubenville. Reno Succoch is still doing his thing down there on the river. They will get together. Of course, Indian Valley, boys making a run. I can go back to the day when it was Indian Valley North and Indian Valley South. They merged the schools together. Shout out to our good friend Josh Weir at the Rep. He was a proud graduate of Indian Valley, the home of the Braves. What do you see here? Stubbe and Indian Valley.
Can't we just call him Janaden Hutton? Or as some of my southern folks say, Ganooten Hooten. You know what? I think this is Indian Valley's opportunity. I really do.
Okay.
Now, Steubenville hasn't lost to a team in the state of Ohio. They lost to Lindsley, Rock Creek Christian Academy out of Maryland. I don't think Reno and the team have enough to get it done against Indian Valley because this is a payback game. I mean, 2013 regional championship on the line. Steubenville beat Indian Valley 17-14. So for Indian Valley to never get a regional championship before, they have the opportunity now. They've had to rotate in a new quarterback. They've got two quarterbacks they've kind of gone through, but Colton Thomas is getting it done. I think Indian Valley gets a victory in this game. Again, there's going to be some points that are going to be scored. I'm calling it 35-28 Indian Valley.
Wow. I'm opposite of TJ here. Both teams are scoring 34 points tonight. Steubenville's two losses, like TJ said, are out-of-state teams. Both real good teams coming across the border to play them. Steubenville beat Dover pretty handily. They beat a good Carrollton team. And Indian Valley lost to Dover, Garaway, Roosevelt. Roosevelt's a good team from D.C., but I think some of the team speed was Steubenville. I've got Steubenville 40 over Indian Valley 20.
40-20. Now, this ball game is in St. Clairsville. Who's closer? Is Stubbe or Janaden Hutton closer to Clairsville?
I think
this is how I'm going to base my whole prediction.
I think Steubenville is. Is.
That's enough for me. I'll take Big Red here, 35-10 over the Braves. All right, Hudson and Hoban. How about the Hudson Explorers dismantling a very good Walsh Jesuit team? And here they are against Lamar Sperling and Tim Terrell and the Archbishop Hoban Knights. Oh,
good luck.
Boy. Do the Explorers have a shot to upend the power up there off of Route 76 in Akron? Do they have a shot?
Well, doing what you did at Walsh Jesuit is going to lead you to believe that. One thing I will always tell people is that when I played football 20-some years ago here inside of Stark County, when we played Hudson, it was a Week 1 game. Because that was a tune-up game. That was a warm-up game. Hudson's not that anymore. Over the years, they have developed. That area has developed. There's more money up there, which leads to more specialized training and more protein powdered shakes for all the boys to get all nice and juiced up for the season. So I like Hoban in this game, but I think Hudson does keep it close. I think they give him a test, and I think it's one of those where we see maybe Hudson pop out to a 10-3 lead early, wake up the monster, Lamar Sperling. Look at the numbers he's put up this year. Lamar is just an absolute freak. To me, I think Buffalo is an undershot for a guy like this. You know, I think committing to Buffalo, I think he could play at a lot bigger school than that, maybe some smaller tiered Big Ten schools. But I like Hoban in this game. It's going to be 42-38.
Wow, lots of points there. So
wow,
go with the over in that one. All right, Jeffrey, what do you think here? Hudson and then Hoban.
Hudson, they've blown out everybody except for Riverside, so they can put points on the board. They beat a good Perry on the Lake team, but Perry on the Lake is not Hoban. They have a good strength of schedule there, but when you're going against Sperling, I mean, he's got over 3,000 yards rushing, 50 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? 50 touchdowns. Possibly Mr. Ohio in football, but I'll point out that this is the first time all season Hoban's healthy. They've been beating people without all their horses. I think Hoban, it may be close early, but I think Hoban runs away with it 48-20.
All right. I'm going to go with Hoban here. Good friend of mine, Dave Scozen, has a son who plays for Hudson, so I'm kind of rooting for the Explorers a little bit, but I've known Tim Terrell for years, and he's just done an incredible job with that program. I don't know how this is going to start, but I think I know how it's going to end, and I will take Hoban here 45-14. All right, Avon and TCC will get together. Toledo Central Catholic, okay, and the Avon Eagles. Avon, again, guys, no stranger to going this deep in the playoffs. Either is Toledo Central Catholic. I think this is a tough one to call. I do.
Yeah, and this is a rematch again from last year's regional, and that was 42-43, where Avon got them in overtime. So it's going to be close. We know the amount of talent that comes out of TCC. Now, the last time they got that win over Avon, you're going all the way back to 2012. I mean, you're talking Dane Sanzenbacher days as he was coming out, and that was the year that Toledo Central Catholic was able to win it all. So for them, I think this is their new opportunity. I like the way this game shakes out, though, and you guys are over here talking about points from these other games that I'm talking about. This one right here, there's good quarterback play. There's a ton of wide receivers. There's dudes that can run the ball. I mean, each quarterback has 4 or 5 different receivers that they've thrown touchdown passes to over the last 5 weeks. So I think with a TCC line that averages over 295 pounds, I think that might be something that Mike Elder and his team are not prepared for, although they've won 5 straight D2 regional championships and they've been in the semis. They know what it takes to get there. So does TCC. So I think it's time for them to get one. 3 out of the last 4 have gone to Avon. This one goes to Toledo Central Catholic. I like it in the form of 35-14.
Ooh, wow. Big spread there.
Bigger spread than I got. I think this has a chance to be in the best game of the week.
Yeah,
I really do.
Could be.
Both teams give up or actually score exactly 41 points. Both teams give up less than 10 points. So you got good offense, good defense, good quarterbacks both sides of the ball. Like TJ said, Central Catholic is big. They've got 9 guys over 260 pounds.
And remember, they battled St. Ed's down to the wire in the regular season.
And that is
at Ed's.
You look at each team's loss. Avon's only loss is Glenville. Toledo's only loss is St. Ed's.
Yep.
So they've got good losses. It's almost like the same team on paper.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a heck of a game. I hope it's getting recorded that I can watch it later because I think it's going to be a great one. I think at the end of the night, Toledo wins 28-26.
All right. Shout out to Coach Elder, former Mount Union, and just has done a whale of a job with that program at Avon. I got Toledo Central Catholic here, 33-21 in that one. All right. Kings Mills Kings took out the juggernaut of Cincinnati Whitten Woods last weekend. Now, can they do it again? Can they keep moving? I don't know a lot about Kings. I'm going to be 100% honest with you, but I am shocked that they knocked off Whitten Woods.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit of feel for some of that Cincinnati ball when they came up for the Kempthorne Motors Kickoff Classic that we did. We got a chance to see Taft. There's some really good ball down there. It's a good brand of football. It's different than what we're used to up here. Kings being able to knock off Whitten Woods, who's the defending D2 state champion, and knowing how big.
That was a shock.
How big Whitten Woods was. I believe they were they were over 300 pounds across the board. Their center, I think, was like 400 pounds. So just to be able to get around that guy alone, you should get a trophy. I'm going to give it to Kings. They're playing that one down there at Mason. Cincinnati's going to be on fire for this one. I think it'll be between Cincinnati, Anderson, and Kings. They're going to get a great crowd there. But I like Kings in a close one, man. This is going to be 21-18 Kings.
All right. Jeffrey?
Well, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a season. They played each other twice. Knights have beat them both times. They put it on them last time, 41-26. Both teams are real good, real big. They got, Cincy's got this Alvarez receiver that catches over 100 yards a night. Same thing with the Kings. They're real good. They got Musari, who's about the same type of receiver. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. I'm going to say that the Kings get it done, 48-21.
I'm going to take Kings here, 33-31. I think it is going to be a fantastic game. Real quick, guys, because I have no idea. Nickname for Kings, what is it?
Knights.
The Kings Knights?
Kings Knights.
And you called that 43-31. Kings?
33-31.
33-31.
The Kings Knights.
Kings. That's hard to say, right?
That doesn't sound right.
Kings
You need to change that name immediately.
and the Cincy Anderson Raptors.
Yeah, and I'm not sure either because
they switched their name because it was
PC. I don't know.
Offensive. Okay.
The one thing I don't realize this because we don't get to follow a whole lot of Cincinnati with our proximity, but why did they play each other twice?
I don't know. I noticed that. I was digging into the schedules, looking at who they played, what the quality was. They played Cincy early, and they played them week 10. So
maybe a cancellation or something.
I don't know
because
if
you normally never
cancellation.
see that.
I looked at it week 10. I thought maybe that's the rival being down in the same area, but I don't know.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
All right, so the Kings Knights, we think will be victorious this weekend. All right, you talk about an absolute beast. The Chardon Hilltoppers are trying to do it again. They got to go through the Canfield Cardinals this weekend. Canfield we associate with what? Tough, hard-nosed, just strong. Guys, I'm not betting against Chardon this weekend, the weekend after, or the weekend after. Who do you like?
They know what it takes to get there. They put together one of the longest winning stretches in Ohio high school football history. I like Chardon in this ball game, but it's going to be tough, man, because Brock Lowry, what he does up there at Canfield, and as we talked about Walsh University here earlier, Canfield had come down and actually done one of their scrimmages down here before the season started. So
we were over there.
Yeah, they were down. You and I were trotting around campus and and talking and checking out the guys. Brock Lowry is a great two-way player. He's committed, I believe, to Indiana to go there and play quarterback. Canfield keeps it close, but you're right. You can't bet against the Hilltoppers and what they're able to do. I think it's a tight ball game. I see it 27-24 Chardon.
I'm very similar. Canfield barely beat a good West Branch team. They barely beat Dover, who's not a great team. They've got a couple big guys, a couple 280, 285 guys on the line. Chardon, however, has 6'4", 330, 6'4", 255, 6'3", 270, 6'3". They're huge.
Yeah, they're not fat.
They're just
big and strong.
Big and strong. They've blown out everybody they played, including Akron East, who has a lot of athletes on the field. Akron East is a little bit undisciplined, but they have a ton of athletes. I've got it 27-20 Chardon.
Ooh, I don't have this thing being anywhere close at all. I've got Chardon 45 and Canfield 12. All right. The big ender here, Division I, Lakewood St. Edwards, and the Mentor Cardinals. We've seen Eds. We've seen Mentor. No surprise that these two teams are meeting here. Usually you can dial it up every year. Eds, Mentor, Ignatius, Medina. I'm sure I'm leaving out another school. Ignatius, the usual suspects, and here they are, the Cardinals and the Eagles. TJ, we'll go on with you.
This is a running clock ball game for the regional title. 48-14.
Right.
I like Eds. I like them. I mean, come on, Mentor has a. You got a chance to see him, Sammy. You know what they're. It's not the same Mentor team, and Eds is just. Whew, yeah.
It has a potential to be running clock. 9-3 Mentor barely beat McKinley. They should have lost that game.
Should have lost that.
Crazy play at the end of the game. I just don't think Mentor has enough firepower. I'm friends with Tom Lombardo. He's a heck of a coach. We play a little bit of golf together. 5-time state champion. They're huge up front, both sides of the ball. Their skill guys are not that big, but they're good.
Yeah.
I think that Eds puts it on them early, but I think Mentor gets a couple late scores. I think it's 28-21.
Wow. I think Mentor should have lost to McKinley. I think that I kind of thought Medina might get Mentor last weekend. So what do I know? Here comes Mentor saying, we're not done yet. Don't count us out. I think the game goes the way you do. I think Eds jumps early. Cardinals get a couple late. Eds puts the finishing touches on them. I'll say Lakewood St. Ed's 44 and Mentor 24. That's my final there for that one. So we'll probably come back here, reconvene in a week, and all these predictions will be but at least we have the guts to come out and give our predictions and see how we do. I know it's going to be a great week of football. It's going to be cold. I'm hoping precipitation-wise it's supposed to be dry, so that's a good thing. Might be a little windy some places, but you should have dry, fast tracks. And when it's a little chilly, I usually give the edge to the offense because it's a little. It takes a little bit more to want to come up and pop somebody when it's 15 degrees, okay? So I think the offenses may kind of rule the roost here this weekend, but it should be fun.
Yeah, when you're rolling downhill, it's a lot easier to put pads on somebody, and they have to absorb that hit. So I'm with you. I think that advantage leads itself to the offense. I'm ready for some great football. Anybody that wants to check out what the inside of Division II competition looks like outside of Massillon and the Lake Blue Streaks, check us out on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
I'll have the Hudson and Hoban game live from Twinsburg. check in with me. You'll be able to hear all the action coming from over there. We'll see what happens inside of that bracket, inside of that region. And then, obviously there could be a whole re-bracketing that happens next week when you start talking about state semis and proximity and figuring out other neutral sites. So it's a fun time, man. This is really special for high school football players right now. It's rare air. It's rare that you get to not only play for a regional title, but even to be able to play for a state title. And now you're talking Final Four after this weekend. So good luck and good health. Get after it. Everyone out there, play it like it's your last.
Yep. Final words?
We've had a heck of a year. We've had a great year of weather. Some of the weather we have actually called games in there has been incredible. It's that build up to the end, right? And a lot of the teams that we talked about early on, we thought would be there at the end. A lot of us did our predictions early. We always had like Massillon 1 and 2. A lot of our predictions are coming true, and it's just great for me personally to get involved with you guys, seeing these games, being a fan of multiple teams in the county. We all have our own home team that we went and played for. But for me, it's been a blast to dig into Massillon and Lake and be a fan of schools that I've never been a fan of because I've played against them. So I'm just real excited to see one of these Stark County or two of these Stark County teams to get something done and move on.
Let's get as many.
Shout out to the Natural, man, coming on board, handling his play-by-play duties, man, giving us a little boost at Stark Media, man. We appreciate everything that you did this year, man.
Yeah, we're not done. We are not done. We'll try to get a couple more teams through. Here's the lineup for Friday night, Rock 106.9, the free iHeartRadio app. It'll be Massillon and Lake from Parma. TJ is going to be at Stark Media YouTube channel with Hudson and Archbishop Hoban. And Saturday night, we will have live continuous video updates, scores, and a bunch of great inside stuff on the West Branch and Jefferson game. So check us out at Stark Media Team on Twitter, the Stark Media Facebook page, and, of course, right here on the Stark Media YouTube channel. And we'll have, during our broadcast, we'll have score updates from all the other games going on and keeping you in the loop. And then we'll be back here next week to do it all over again. And I know we're going to have at least one team locally, and it'd be nice if we could have two. So we'll see how it all plays out. Going to thank our sponsors again, C.H. Vallis and Associates, our good friends at McNeil & Sons Tree Service, St. Joe's Senior Living, Lindsay's Pizza, and, of course, Wallenberg Chocolates and Nuts on Fulton Road in Canton. For TJ, for JT, SB. Thanks for watching the Stark Media YouTube channel here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and we'll see you next week.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.